Howdy, y'all. It's Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. How y'all doing? We are in something crazy. Warhammer 40k has been getting new detachments, like one every day in December kind of deal. And there was rumors going around that Necrons were about to be released. And sure enough, today they were, and it's quite the detachment. Let's run through it really quickly. This is just a quick little promo thing. All right, an enormous array of arcane mechanical treasures are stored in the grand armories of the Necron dynasties. Oh, that was a weird pause where they put that. Excuse me. Some nobles prefer to wage mobile warfare using imperious anti-grav war barks, looming mechanical walkers, and supersonic assault craft powered by eldritch technologies to outflank, outrun, and eliminate their enemies. Okay. As the armored tide sweeps over the hopelessly outmatched foe, Ghost Darks swoop low to disgorge rank upon rank of skeletal Necron warriors. Other forms of servile construct and maniacal killing machines join the lethal procession, adding their own cosmic wrath. And when the foe inevitably breaks, dynastic soldiery fused with repulsor-driven platforms scythe down any who would attempt to flee. Some of that's written really well. Some of it is not. Okay, the Necrons of the Star Shatter Arenal Unleash. It's the Star Shatter Arsenal. There's a lot of typos in here. Unleash relentless onslaught. The detachment rule for this force upon their enemies holding objectives. Okay. Necron models shooting at enemy units on objectives add 1 to their hit rolls, while ranged weapons equipped by Necron vehicles and mounted models gains assault. It's not quite as powerful as the Awakened Dynasty as far as just +1 a hit as long as you have a leader, but still really good because it's on the objectives. Necron characters use some of the most advanced technology in the universe, such as the chrono impedance fields, which reads vehicles in a time dilation field. Okay. Continuing with the time-bending theme, commanders can also use the chrono shift stratagem to allow their vehicles to advance 6 inches automatically. Let's check out the actual Star Shatter Arsenal. We'll get it all fixed up here so we can see it. There we go. Star Shatter Arsenal. Okay, we're not going to read this up here because basically it's similar to that. So, Relentless Onslaught is the attachment rule. Each time a Necron's model from your army makes an attack that targets a unit within range of 1 or more objective markers, add 1 to the hit roll. That's anything. You just get +1 to hit regardless of the model if they're on an objective. In addition, though, ranged weapons equipped by Necron's vehicles and Necron's mounted models, excluding Titanic models, so no Seraptic Heavy Construct, no... That's interesting. The Seraptic Heavy Construct can get +1 to hit. That's crazy. No Monolith or Tesseract Vault, I believe. That's it. So they don't get this, but everything else that's vehicle or mounted will have the assault ability built into it now. So your weapons, you can advance and still fire. That's crazy. That is crazy. Okay. So just right off the bat, that itself, Necron's vehicles are pretty solid, a lot of them. Doomsday Arcs, oh my goodness, the 4-legged walkers. Can't remember. I'm not the Triarch Stalker. I have 2 of these things. I can't remember what they're called. Those 2 alone are amazing. As far as the mounted units, you have your Tomb Blades, which they're not necessarily that great, but this does give them an interesting ability just to still advance and fire, which might make them able to still do actions. I don't know. But Locust Destroyers and Locust Heavy Destroyers, which they can also take the Locust Lord. So they have a leader, and he's generic, so you could have 3 of him. I only have 1, but now I want 2 more. All of a sudden, I already really liked Locust Destroyers and Heavy Destroyers, and now I'm like, kind of want to have as many as possible. So let's go through the enhancements, and we'll just talk about each one. Dread Majesty Aura. When this Nova unleashes the might of their cosmic armory, their followers are left in no doubt as to the importance of the battle at hand. If they do not strive to live up to the lethal effectiveness of the dynasty's war engines, their overlord's wrath will be terrible. It's 30 points. This is expensive. It's an Overlord or Catacomb Command Barge model only, which is really cool that Catacomb Command Barge gets included in this. And real quick. Let me pull it up, the data sheets. Does Overlord count with the Translocation Shroud as well? I don't remember. Is he still just called an Overlord? I think he might be. And then that's like a subheading. Overlord with Translocation Shroud. I think it's a subheading. So we're good. That should work. Awesome. Yeah, he's an Overlord. So yeah, that works. So he could get this. While a friendly Necron's unit, excluding Titanic units, you'll see that a lot. That's just going to be a thing that they just don't get very often. Is within 6 inches of the bear. So this is an aura, like it says up here. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a reroll a wound roll of 1. And that's anything and everything that's within 6 inches of the bearer. That could be its own unit or other things. So you get +1 to hit for your vehicles and have an Overlord in a grouping of immortals or warriors just to protect him, to give that unit rerolls of hits and wounds of 1, as well as things within 6 inches. That's nuts. For 30 points, this is worth every penny of it. Insanity. And an Overlord isn't that expensive. So, because how much are they? 85 points. Okay, so I mean they're more expensive, but that's amazing. Because yeah, it's pretty insane. All right, miniaturized nebula scope, 15 points. Necron's model only. Can only equip this, okay? So ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have the ignores cover ability. You're putting this on a Locust Lord, basically, and making sure that your Locust Destroyers or Heavy Destroyers can ignore cover, so that way it just makes it that much easier for your damage to go through. Insane. Absolutely insane. I love it. Demanding Leader, 10 points. Necron's model only. In your movement phase, select one friendly Necron's vehicle or Necron's mounted unit, excluding Titanic units within 6 inches of the bearer. So another aura, but it's not listed as an aura. That's funny. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back. I really like this one on Royal Warden. I think the Royal Warden already has it, though, built in. Pretty sure. Is that what he has? Royal Warden. Where are you? Locust Lord is going to be insane. They get to reroll hit rolls and possibly wound rolls. Oh, it's just for him. Never mind. Okay, I was going to say. All right, let's go back up to find who we're looking for. The Royal Warden. I think he already does have. Yeah, he can fall back and still fire. So that one's interesting because that could actually still be good for your Locust Lord as well. And if you've got multiple Locust Lords, have one to ignore cover and the other one to get up closer to take the hits, and then when they get charged or something, as long as they survive, fall back and then let your other group blast them and you too, right? I like that a lot. This also means you could have, for 10 points, not have a Royal Warden in the Necron's Warriors crew and put in a different leader. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Chrono Impedance Fields, 25 points. Necron's model only in your command phase. Select one friendly Necron's vehicle and Necron's mounted unit, excluding Titanic units, within 6 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in that unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. I believe that's still a minimum of 1 damage, but that's crazy. You could make a Doomsday Arc that much tougher. I mean, that's crazy. Another aura thing where it's not quite aura in that it just is always active. You pick one in your command phase. I think we can only ever get 3 enhancements, and it's hard because all 4 of these are really cool. This is a crazy detachment. We haven't even gotten into the stratagems, okay? All right, so Merciless Reclamation. They're all 1 CP. Yep, the rumors were true on that too. Okay, this one, Merciless Reclamation win. Your shooting phase or the fight phase, target 1 Necron's unit, excluding Titanic. You'll just see that a lot from your army that is not selected to shoot or fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, if the target of that attack is within range of 1 or more objective markers, add 1 to the wound roll. So if you just want to make sure that not only are you going to hit on a +1 because they're on objective, you can also make them +1 on the wound. And man, if you had an Overlord nearby where you're like, actually, we also reroll 1s and we reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. It's just you're just not going to miss hardly anything. It's crazy. It's a lot of layers to that to make it all work like that, but that's really cool. Unyielding Forms. Okay. Wish I remembered what those symbols all meant for the different types. Oh, Battle Tactic. That's what it was. Thank you. Okay. But then that's a strategic ploy, but it has the same symbol. So Battle Tactic is this, actually? But then what's that? That's weird. Anyway. No, that doesn't add up at all. Because they changed the symbols. Anyway, alright. Unyielding Forms win. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. So they've selected the targets, but they haven't fired yet. Target 1 Necron vehicle or Necron's mounted unit, excluding Titanics, from your army that was selected as a target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets a model in your unit, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of the unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So this makes you a little bit more protected. That's really cool. Really cool. Love it. Okay. Chrono Shift. All right. In your movement phase, 1 Necron vehicle or Necron mounted unit, no Titanics, from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. Until the end of the phase, if your unit advances, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, till the end of the phase, add 6 inches to move characteristic of models in your unit. That's really handy when you need to make sure you get somewhere. 6 inches. Just 6 inch, we're going. We're advancing fully. It's done. Okay. Dimensional Tunnel. When in your movement phase, 1 Necron vehicle or Necron mounting unit, not Titanic, from your army. Until the end of the phase, models in your unit can move horizontally through models and terrain features. So they are just teleporting. Now that's interesting because you could technically activate both of those, the Chrono Shift and the Dimensional Tunnel. It's 2 CP to do all that. But you'd be like, they're auto-advancing 6 inches and they're just moving through everything. Crazy. Voop. You're just over there. Technomancer, what keywords can that thing have? I don't think it would fit in any of these, but Technomancer, it does ride on a vehicle, kind of. Pretty sure it doesn't count as a vehicle, though. Fly. That's all it is. Dang it. What about the Wraiths? I don't think the Wraiths are either one of those. Pretty sure they're not. Yeah, just Wraiths, fly, Coptic, nothing really. Beasts. Okay, that's so cool though. So you could get where you needed to go. They're trying to block you off. You actually nope. Or you could just move through a building and be like, actually, I'm over here now. Insane. Okay. Endless Servitude. At the end of your fight phase, 1 Necron's unit, excluding Titanic, from your army that is within range of 1 or more objective markers you control. This is the one I don't like of the stratagems. It's really strange because your unit's reanimation protocols activate. That's not strange. It's just, it has to be at the end of fight phase, not even shooting phase. Both. And it's the end of your fight phase. That's interesting. Okay, so it's on your turn. It's not a reactionary thing to the opponent because it's your fight phase. Okay. That's weird. That's very interesting. So I guess it would be towards the end of your turn, then you go all right, we're healing a little bit more. But you have to be within range of one of your objective markers. You have to make sure it gets there. It's not bad. It's just a little bit more situationally dependent on you. But yet, I get it. It works. It's better than I thought it was initially because the rumor didn't have it worded very well. All right, reactive reposition. When your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has shot. Not necessarily hit, but just shot. Target one Necron's unit from your army. Any Necron's unit excluding Titanic. That was the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. It can be anything this time. It doesn't have to be a vehicle. As well, like this one and the last one. Your unit can then make a normal move up to D6 inches or up to 6 inches instead if it's a mounted or vehicle unit. So after you've been shot at by one thing, you could dodge out of there just after an enemy unit has shot. Is that before or after damage is dealt? I don't remember. That's really interesting. But regardless, then other stuff you could probably potentially hide from with what's left of your force, you know, especially like a Necron Warrior Blood. You'd be like, all right, I lost 6 or 7 there, and now we're getting the rest of them behind this building. So the other vehicle that was going to fire all their mid-range weaponry on me can't. Pretty ridiculous. Kind of like it. This is cool. These are awesome. So yeah. Excuse me. Overall, the Star Shatter Arsenal is nuts. Excuse me. So Doomsday Arcs were already really good. Canoptic Doomstalker was already really good. And now it's just like, hey, you can actually play the Doomstalker outside of Canoptic Court and not feel like you're just getting kind of hosed by just the game not giving you enough to make it work. It's still going to be a little harder to use the Canoptic Doomstalker because you only would get the +1 to hit on, well, I guess you have heavy, so if you stand still, but the objective stuff. But it is pretty cool. And rerolling hit rolls and wound rolls of wands potentially in your Overlord. Not too shabby. Yeah. I don't know. That's just really cool. That's just really, really cool. So then I always kind of wanted to put them together as a, you know what's interesting? Another option now is the Doom Scythe is kind of more useful again. It's still slow because you have to wait till turn 2, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Just kind of interesting. The fact that Doomsday Cannon has Assault now is nutty. And that has devastating wounds if you don't move for the Doomsday Arc. Let's check out Doomsday for a second here. Heavy Death Rays. It is a vehicle, so yeah, it could get +1 to hit. Oh man, you could spawn it near the Overlord just to get it reroll wounds and hits of ones. So then you could get a few more chances at the Heavy Death Rays going off. With the sustained hits D3. Oh my goodness. And then the Tesla Destructors, which aren't very good, but wow. Wow. I don't know. Now I kind of want to play my Doom Scythe again. This would actually be the detachment that could use it again and make it actually semi-decent. And we also have the Silent King. Let's look at that for a second. Obviously, I'm not pulling it up on your guys' screen. You know what? Let's do it. Let's pull it up on your screen. You can see that. There's Silent King. We'll readjust it for y'all. There you go. So Silent King You get to select a Triarch ability. Let's check those out. Hit roll, reroll a hit roll of 1 and roll of 1. That's insanity as a option. So he could act like an overlord as well. So you could just have boosting everywhere. He just has such a small range now with so much of his stuff. Because, man, they really hurt the Triarchomaniers with that. They're great, but wow. He doesn't need the +1 to hit himself. Especially now he can reroll his own stuff. Reroll charge rolls could be an option. Not useful necessarily in this thing, but ignore any or all modifiers to characteristics of models in the unit to any roll or test made for models in that unit. Excluding saving throws. And then he improves their leadership by 1. Within 6. He's just not as good as he used to be. Still like him, but he's just not as good as he used to be. Huh. I just don't know. I don't know what to say about him. He could work in this. I think the teleport Hypercrypt Legion's still probably his best one just to get him moving. But being able to reroll hit rolls and wound rolls with another one is useful. I don't know. Okay. It's just such a cool detachment. Let's look at the locusts. No, the destroyers. Yeah, just locust destroyers. Gauss cannon has lethal hits. You get 3 shots per Gauss cannon, which is funny because it has 4 rods in it, but 3 shots. Anyway, they could be up to a 2 up to hit. Crazy. 5 strength, -2 AP. Could ignore cover. 2 damage, so that 2 AP would actually just completely go through. All of a sudden, it's really getting nasty. Hardwired for destruction. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible enemy unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. They have it built in. If the target of that attack is within range of an objective marker your opponent controls, you can reroll a hit roll instead. Don't necessarily need that. But the fact that they already have built in reroll hit roll of 1, not necessarily the wound roll, but that's crazy because lethal hits on a 6 just auto hits and you don't have to make a wound roll. Pretty insane. And you could, well, no, this is still useful because, yeah, if you really need to, you could be like, oh, they're on an objective marker. I'm going to reroll the hit roll instead. And ironically, because of the wording of this, first off, you only get the hit roll of 1 if they're the closest eligible enemy unit to fire at. But down here, if they're just within range of an objective marker, it doesn't matter if they're the closest. You can reroll hit roll instead. It's insane. These things are just insane. Now I want a whole another squad of them. It's crazy. And they're mounted, so they would count for this. The Locust Lord, when he's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, a successful unmodified hit roll of 5 plus scores a critical hit. So all of a sudden those lethal hits are on 5s and 6s. And maybe even be able to reroll all of them. And you usually just run him with a Resurrection Orb. He's just going to keep them going quite a bit, which is just nuts. And, oh my goodness. And then he gets his own little hit roll and wound roll thing. But it's just for him, unfortunately. You can put him with the Locust Heavy Destroyers as well. It's hard. Actually, let's go back for a second. This Locust Lord, I usually use just Staff of Light, because Lord's Blade, it's really cool. It's really strong, but you just don't want to get in close ever. And Staff of Light can still do some melee. And at the very least, then you have some firing with your other guys as you get a little closer, so you have a few more shots going in. It's not much. It's nowhere near as good, but hey, now has Assault. And it could be critical hits, although it doesn't do anything on this. So Lord's Blade has devastating wounds, though. But it's only for range attacks, so never mind. Yeah, so that doesn't do much of anything. So I just run a Staff of Light. Okay, so 2 weapons for Locust Heavy Destroyers, just to give you thoughts. So Enmitic Exterminator is the anti-infantry. It's heavy, so if you stay still, you get +1 to hit, which now you may not need it. Rapid Fire 6, so if you're within half, it goes up by another 6 shots. Sustain hits once every successful 6, while if you have a Locust Lord with you, every 5 and 6 will get you an extra successful hit, and then you have to roll for a wound roll. It's normally 6 shots, 3 up ballistic skill, strength 6, -1 AP, 1 damage. Not great there, but it's 36-inch range, so you can still do some pretty crazy firing. The Gauss Destructor is also heavy with the lethal hits. That's where things get crazy again. So with a Locust Lord, you could be on 5s and 6s. Now I want another Locust Lord. Only 1 attack each, but it's 3 up ballistic skill. That could be a 2-up. 14 strength, -4 AP, 6 damage. You're talking about all of a sudden. I mean, I've had people that I've faced in games that they're not worried about these things, so they don't look like anything crazy, and then they start firing their Gauss Destructors, and they're like, wait, what? How much does that do? It's like, yeah, you're getting hit with some crazy stuff. And then they usually somehow still survive it with a crazy saving throw. But anyway, they have optimized for slaughter, and it says each time a model in this unit makes an attack with the Enmitic Exterminator, so the first anti-infantry weapon that targets a unit excluding monsters and vehicles, reroll a wound roll of 1. Okay, so that one has its own built-in reroll a wound roll of 1 as long as it's not targeting something basically bigger or a monster. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack with a Gauss Destructor that targets a monster vehicle, reroll a wound roll 1. So it does the same thing, but just for different targets. So these don't necessarily have the reroll hit rolls built into them, but they do get to reroll the wound roll. So if you don't get a lethal hit with the Gauss Destructor, you could still get an extra reroll on the wound roll just to make sure it goes through. These guys are pretty nasty when they start connecting, because even 2 of the 3 connecting, it's 12 potential damage going through. If all 3, it's 18. Like, it's nasty. And you've only invested 165 points. It's pretty insane. I don't know that I would ever use them with the Enmitic Exterminator, because honestly the Locust Lords or the Locust Destroyers are just as good with it, if not honestly a little better, because they do more damage. They don't have as many shots off of one of them, but there's more bodies, so just kind of interesting. Gauss Cannon is just a better version of that, other than the range is shorter. I don't know. Man, I'm excited. Now I want like all the Locusts. Decisions. Could the Lich Guard even be useful again? I don't know. Probably not, unfortunately. Because Assault doesn't help with that. So. I don't know. Well, let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this new Shatterstar Arsenal detachment? I think it's pretty ridiculous. It's a lot of fun. This is awesome. It's going to be interesting to play with because it just seems really strong. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a little nerfed. But it's kind of cool. Vehicles go Bert. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. Like, share, and subscribe. Again, thank you to all of you that are a part of my channel. It's really been a huge blessing to have you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for some Warhammer 40k. It's been a little while since we talked about Warhammer, but hopefully Tau will get some stuff soon, and Custodies I can talk about, Imperial Guard, Grey Knights, Votan, World Leaders maybe. Yeah, we'll talk about several things. So, I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. Take care.